to discover. See, as a kid, this is one thing I've learned, and I've seen this not in just overall. When we're little girls, we're taught how to be moms. We're taught how to be wives before we taught how to be individuals. So as little girls, we grow up learning how to do for other people as wives, as mothers, before we learn how to appreciate who and discover who we are. And I think that's important. When you discover who you are, then you can determine what. I think it probably will help, not in all cases, but I think it will help in eliminating some of these relationships that we get, or entanglements.
Snap! I used to say that
we get into. That we get into because there's so much emphasis on being something for somebody else, and then you find out after you've been married or been in a relationship for a certain amount of years, you realize, you wake up one day and you grew up and
totally
you realize,
forgot who I am. Now I got to find
I don't
myself.
like.
So this is a great part where we're going to step over and we're going to switch over. We're going to talk about self-love and self-care.
Absolutely. And I believe that self-care is more so not just about looking a certain way. It's more about a state of mind.
Right.
You know, getting to the point to where you're realizing that, you know what, in order for me to interact or develop a relationship with somebody else, I have to first develop who I am. And part of developing who I am is finding out key things that make me who I am. The key things, finding out things that I like and don't like, finding out where I need to grow, areas of my life where I need to grow, because sometimes you don't realize certain areas that you need to grow till you get around certain people.
Absolutely.
Because you might think, oh, I'm fine. I'm thebomb.com and I don't need any work. I'm good. But it's like you said, when we had in prior conversations, you don't know till you interact with other people, because that person sometimes how did you word it? You said sometimes the person has what you need, or something to that degree. We were talking
earlier today.
No, it was we had talked about it in prior conversations. We were talking about when you meet people.
Well, I know that when you're raised a certain way, and your norm with your family is not a norm for that next family, and then when you interact with another family and you try to get a relationship, the majority that happens either friends or relationships, it exposes what was not given to you and what was not talked about. What was not delivered, what was not modeled. And now you have to find out all these deficits in yourself. So for self-care, what are we talking about? Self-care or self-love?
Well,
okay.
Clearly you said there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference, right? So when we're talking about self-care, it's getting on your journey to figuring out who you are. So like I wrote in 75% Man, figure out what your parents are, who your parents were, because they're the one who made you. What they put in you and what they didn't put in you. What happened to you? What did you do about what you figured out what happened to you? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Then who are you? Because they create you, and then you have to figure out who you are and then who you want to be. And that's what we have to do. And we're not taught this. Our parents didn't know this part of life. They just made kids, put up a front, had some shame, told some lies, and then pushed you out the house. Because you can tell now you're trying to go back and have conversations about the things that you missed, and they tell you shut up. They tell you we're not going to talk about it. They tell you they don't remember it. Why? Because no one ever trained them to be that whole person, to be a whole parent with shame, triumphs, successes, pains, all those things, and explain their shortcomings. They don't know how to do that. And they will fight you to make sure it doesn't happen. But now, and this is what we're doing, we're giving up the game. The game is be a whole person so you can make whole children so we can evolve. That's the game now. The game before was, hey, let's do what we do and we ain't got to tell nobody. And if we shut up, and you better shut up, then everything will be all right. And that's how they lived. And that's why they says, you don't talk about what happens in this house.
What you see here, what you say here.
Absolutely.
Let it stay here when you leave here.
Absolutely. And the purpose of that is shame. Because they don't know if they were doing it right or wrong. But now we know if they're doing it right or wrong. So the self-care part is dig into who you are and be the best person you could possibly be. And if you can't figure it out, get some help. And that's what life coaches are about.
Right. And I believe, in my perspective on self-love and self-care is not necessarily about, it's about finding out who you are so that you'll be able to make choices that are best for you in any circumstance. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times when and it's funny, I hear myself saying a lot of the times, all the time, that's a part of my acknowledgement of things that I say. But I realize in my own personal journey that sometimes when you get into different relationships, you start to see, oh man, I need to grow in that area. Oh, let me wheel back a little bit. Let me go fix this before I start looking for something. And it doesn't mean that you can't fix it. It makes it a lot harder, I think, when you're already in a relationship and you have to fix those things, because then your partner has to be like the one experiencing the ups and downs.
Don't practice on me.
You know, you're
That's
practicing.
Why I say that.
Yeah.
That's why I say don't practice on me. I'm too old for that.
But I think that is the difference between developing relationships in your older age versus when you're younger. When you're younger, you don't have anything set in place. You like me, I like you, let's go for it. And however the boat turns, that's the way it turns.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Wow.